Gavin Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. Hey, they're all moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. It's too expensive to leave versus all the bullshit with all the permits and all that. It's too expensive.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but now this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
The pressure on Gavin Newsom has officially hit a breaking point, and it's unraveling in real time. The once polished, confident golden boy of California was visibly emotional as voices from all sides, Bill Maher, Joe Rogan, even Mel Gibson, called him out over his record. And while part of you might feel bad seeing a governor get that rattled, let's not forget the decisions that led to this. He built the chaos he's now stuck in. So yes, this backlash didn't come out of nowhere. It was earned. If you're a fan of bold, no-holds-barred political breakdowns, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because this one's on fire.
What's going on in California? It isn't slowing down. The games are not slowing down. Newsom did eventually come out and apologize. If you want to go on Twitter, Rob, and just go to the apology video that he came out eventually. This is, I think, 4-5 days later. On day one, I asked him, I said, are you going to come out and do this? Watch how he's finally wanting to have his people be responsible. Go ahead, Rob.
Incite violence. I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account.
Okay.
That kind of criminal behavior will not be tolerated. Full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested. And we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases. And people will be prosecuted.
It all exploded just days after Newsom doubled down and refused to take responsibility for California's growing problems. He even publicly defied Trump and taunted former ICE Director Tom Homan to come and arrest him. He carried himself like he was untouchable, all bravado and defiance. So imagine the shock when he made a sudden about-face and issued a public apology. The tough guy act crumbled, and if you looked close enough, you could see the emotion in his eyes. It was a stunning turn from the same man who, just days earlier, was daring federal authorities to challenge him.
Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him. The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment. It's time for all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency, and it's certainly not governor. The most important office is office of citizen.
This is the same Gavin Newsom who once dismissed accountability like it didn't apply to him. But now, faced with growing backlash, he caved. Whether it was due to guilt, pressure, or a desperate move to save his political career, that apology cracked open the polished image he worked so hard to maintain. The media rushed in to spin the story, his supporters looked stunned, and critics wasted no time pointing out the double standard. One moment he's challenging the system, the next he's backpedaling. And believe it or not, it was Bill Maher who really lit the fuse.
I see today the Trump administration, they talked about the fact that California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent to me doesn't compute.
Well, I don't. But what is the job of a teacher? It's to teach. If Johnny's talking about some identity issue or some issue about liking some
someone of the same sex is the teacher's job.
F-bomb comment. He's an evil snake motherfucker. I don't know how to describe it. You see what he just did there, and Bill got it right. Somehow it's snitching if the parent finds out, if the teacher says, oh, your kid has been going by other names and changing pronouns and dressing up this way. You don't know about that as the parents. That's the snitch. It's the parent's job to raise the child.
You've probably seen the clip by now and asked, what does this have to do with everything going on in California? The answer is everything. Bill Maher called out Newsom's evasive approach when he pressed him on California's controversial law that lets teachers keep a child's gender transition secret from parents. That bill passed on Newsom's watch, and it basically removed parents from critical life decisions involving their own kids. Trump tried to challenge it, but Newsom stood firm, defending a policy that hands major authority to the state. That's where his so-called progressive values showed their true colors, taking power away from families and giving it to the government. It's not just bad policy. It feels like a direct betrayal to parents.
I was on KBLA yesterday with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but now this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say to that if you could win look at the swing states. There's only 8.
That's when it really started falling apart. The shine wore off, and the real cracks began to show. Newsom's national ambitions, once treated seriously, started to fade. And the twist? It wasn't just conservatives pushing back anymore. His own base, including progressives who once cheered for him, started pulling away. Why? Because Newsom didn't just go along with the woke narrative. He ran full speed ahead. And that made many people uncomfortable. What once looked like bold leadership now felt disconnected and overreaching. Bill Maher's comments highlighted what many had been thinking. Newsom was slipping. Supporters went quiet. Donors started backing off. The President Newsom talk began to sound more like a joke than a possibility.
Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a f***ing con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids, to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors. Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician. Just a stone-cold, narrative-driven politician. Nobody thinks he's a real human. Whether you like Trump or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not, that's a human being. You know what that guy is. Same thing with RFK Jr. Whether you believe that he's correct about vaccines or whether you believe his policies would be effective, and you know that's a human being. With Newsom, you've got like this construct, this cardboard cutout of a person. I don't think people want that, but they might want it more than they want President Trump.
Joe Rogan joined in too, calling Newsom a master of political shapeshifting. And honestly, it's hard to disagree. One moment he's defiant and confrontational. The next he's apologizing like he never meant it. He says one thing in front of progressives, then something entirely different to moderates. Today he's marching against ICE. Tomorrow he's talking tough on illegal immigration. It's all about performance, not principle. And people are tired of it. You never know where he really stands, and that's the problem. He's become a walking contradiction. That kind of flip-flopping doesn't inspire confidence. It raises red flags. And the silence from once loyal supporters says more than any poll ever could.
And Gavin Newsom talks about California. He's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. Hey, f***o, they're all moving. The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move. It's too expensive to leave versus all the bullshit with all the permits and all that. It's too expensive.
Beyond the posturing, Newsom's economic track record tells its own story. Under his watch, California has seen a wave of business departures. And we're not talking small names. Big companies like Tesla, Oracle, HP Enterprise, Schwab, and CBRE have all packed up and moved out. Their reasons? High taxes, endless red tape, and a business climate they describe as outright hostile. And those are just the headline names. Small and mid-sized businesses are also leaving or shutting down entirely, heading for states like Texas and Florida where growth is still possible. The few still holding on in California are often stuck because moving would cost too much, not because things are working. Newsom's policies have created an environment where ambition gets punished. What used to be a symbol of success is now a warning sign. And it's happening on his watch.
Like what Gavin Newsom did when Xi Jinping came to San Francisco.
He cleaned it up.
He cleaned it up.
And then it became a pigsty.
Well, the dumbest thing is he said,
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
like, how about just keep your house clean?
Can you imagine? The day he left, it went right back. What a disgrace.
One of the most pressing issues California continues to face is its worsening sanitation crisis. Both residents and visitors have repeatedly voiced concern over the state's deteriorating conditions, yet Governor Gavin Newsom seems slow to act. Former President Trump even weighed in, calling the situation disgraceful for a state known for its wealth and global influence. Cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Oakland have become known more for dirty streets and homelessness than for innovation or opportunity. In parts of San Francisco, problems like human waste, discarded needles, and overflowing trash bins have sadly become part of daily life. In Los Angeles, widespread encampments have turned public spaces into health risks. These aren't isolated situations. They reflect a much larger trend that's grown worse year after year. What used to be the land of dreams is now fighting off a wave of neglect, and people across the state are growing more frustrated by the day with Newsom's lack of urgency or lasting solutions.
Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate?
The anger toward Gavin Newsom isn't just political. It's personal for many Californians. People are fed up with what they see as failed leadership, and the calls for accountability are growing louder. One well-known figure, actor Mel Gibson, reportedly lost his home to one of the massive wildfires that tore through the Palisades. And like many others, he didn't see real help from the governor. No strong emergency response, no meaningful plan. Instead, developers and speculators showed up, raising questions about whether disaster relief was being misused for financial gain. For families watching their homes and futures go up in smoke, this added insult to injury. Meanwhile, Newsom's response came across as more performance than substance, speaking at press conferences, but offering little action. From wildfires to droughts, Californians want more than words. They're tired of feeling forgotten by a leader who seems more focused on optics than on actual results. The frustration is real, and it's not going away anytime soon.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Eventually, Gavin Newsom decided to respond to the growing criticism. But by the time he did, the damage had already been done. His delayed reaction came off less like leadership and more like political cleanup. And that's exactly what commentators like Greg Gutfeld have been highlighting in blunt terms. For months, issues like crime, homelessness, and economic decline have been front and center, but Newsom often brushed them off. He seemed convinced that a few good headlines and polished speeches would carry him through. Now, as speculation about a future presidential bid heats up, he's suddenly staging cleanup efforts, holding carefully crafted press events, and rushing out new policies. But to many, it looks more like image management than a real plan. Voters are noticing, not just in California but across the country. If this is a preview of his leadership style on a national stage, it raises serious questions. And that wraps up today's video. If you found it informative, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.